the wonderful opportunities there are to travel overseas this summer on the Spirit of Bermuda. So without further delay, I will welcome Ms. Simmons to the front.
And thank you for the opportunity. I'm actually going to begin by showing a short video. I think most of the people in Bermuda, in the Bermuda community, are familiar with the Spirit of Bermuda. We're entering our 10th year of operation, and we actually have just won an international award from the Sail Training International, which basically looks at what we're doing and how we're doing it and decides if we're doing a good job. So I'm going to show you a couple of videos because I think they speak louder than my words do. And then I'll go through a few things about our summer opportunities. So this was the launch in 2006 when Bermuda was coming home. Spirit of Bermuda was coming back to Bermuda after being built.
10,000 sea miles have passed under Spirit of Bermuda since she started her mission 1 year ago. Hundreds of young Bermudians experienced firsthand the ups and downs of life at sea. Nation's plan to teach teamwork and leadership skills through sailing proved to be a major success. Within 2 weeks, the Sloop Foundation received 2 international awards for their work.
I was in Victoria, British Columbia, where Spirit received the Man of the Year award for the USA and Canada. We're pretty proud.
The second award went to ship's captain Chris Blake, who was named Sail Trainer of the Year by Sail Training International.
We're doing something different within the sail training world. We do it involving the students in their environment, involving the students in the history and geography of the island, basically.
But it's not only education that keeps the kids' attention focused.
What this ship is a operating community where kids learn about themselves.
So it's not just the academic side, it's not just the sailing side, it's the whole package of the welfare side and growing up, basically. But in a comfortable environment, not always comfortable, environment which they feel slightly safe.
It takes a dedicated crew to sail a ship like Spirit of Bermuda. 18-year-old Tristan De Silva has been with the ship since its beginning.
It's all teamwork. From waking up in the morning, helping each other to get into bed, or being on night watch. The whole boat is just teamwork. You can't do anything alone.
Teamwork is amazing. Like, you have to work together on everything. Like, when we went swimming, it was cold, and we put the net up, and we had to direct each other up the net and how to get up and how to do it correctly. Because if we did it by ourselves, we'd all soon be the water.
Teamwork is positive peer pressure, which creates self-confidence and forces individuals to look after each other.
And this type of learning associates excitement, emotion with learning.
Malcolm says the sloop teach be taught in the classroom. It puts things in perspective, he says. On ship, as in life, everyone is a cog in the wheel. To achieve success, everyone has to work together.
Time is precious. You can't waste any time. Responsible.
After all, Bermuda itself is but a tiny ship in the middle of the ocean.
So some of you might have seen that video before. They show it on CITV sometimes, but it's a lot longer. And I'm going to stop. I'm not going to show this whole bit, but I'm going to stop that. And want to mention a couple things about what you just saw there. What we use is, and it skipped a little bit, but we use what's called training under sail or sail training, but it's really a foundation or a context for learning. So it's not so much, we're not necessarily teaching people how to be sailors, but we're using the sail training, being out on a vessel where you basically have to adapt and you have to make decisions and you have to work together in order to continue to move forward. And while many are very reluctant to do this, we find the outcomes, because I do post-voyage questionnaires all the time, in terms of what the students get out of it, more confidence, feeling like they learned something, they accomplished something, better relationships with their peers that they were on board with. Sometimes one of the things I always tell the students before they come aboard is, you may not like that person, you know, in school you get on each other's nerves, but you can still work together, you can look beyond that. And so really, a level of maturity comes out. And what we offer in the summer is more advanced or a greater challenge than what we do during the normal school year. Over the course of the school year and every week, we're taking out about 20 M2 students right now it is. By the end of the year, it'll be about 400. Every middle school child will try and get out. And sometimes that's like pulling teeth to get them out. But some of the more reluctant ones are actually the ones that benefit the most because they go outside their comfort zone and they grow much more. But what we do in the summer months is a greater challenge. So we have a whole series of overseas voyages that nominally are for 16-year-olds and up. But if they've already done a voyage prior to that and demonstrated some level of maturity, then they would still go. So we have, what I'm giving you in those handouts is the whole list of voyages we're offering this summer. And in a second, I'm going to ask Jamali Bridgewater, who's an alum of Berkeley Institute and started at Delwood Middle School. And he's been on an overseas voyage, really to comment or to answer questions about what he got out of it and what he thought. But I'm going to show you one other video, which I think is very telling about what it looks like on the vessel. That was very nice because it showed the launch and everything. But the day-to-day stuff, I'd like you to see. When a young person comes aboard, or an older person, they are part of the crew. We don't take passengers. They join the crew and they partake in the entire running of the vessel. And they learn how to run it. They learn how to be at the helm and how to do everything else associated with it. So this is... And he went on this overseas voyage. He's been on PTSA, which is like another tall ship. And it really changed him a lot in terms of understanding what things were important and not to get caught up. And that's character development sometimes. Oh, you don't need to hear the video. A lot of people don't want to hear that music. I like it. So. This is going over to Norfolk, Virginia. And almost always they sail with Project Dolphin. You can't miss it. They're always out there sailing. And this, I think, is lovely. You see them all pulling together from a distance. So these are some of the hard skills that they learn, even though, again, that's not the main point. But when you learn a hard skill, there's a sense of accomplishment. So rope time, they're all pulling the sail together. It's a 600-pound sail, so not one person can do this on your own. They're learning about navigation and using the compass there. So now we're doing some of the essentials first thing in the morning. For about half an hour, but when everybody works together, it's done. That's a man overboard drill. Little navigation and weather lesson. That gentleman, Ben Bernardo, he was our chef award for a number of years, and he's now the chef with Oracle at America's Cup. And we find everybody that's aboard, they take pride in the vessel. So it's a shared common pride, which is nice. It's one of the things we like to see. And that when you're aboard, you really don't, you want to be proud of where you're living and you're sharing the living space with everybody. One of the reasons this was built is it's a sloop, which has maritime connections to Bermuda. Built these things to go fast, to not draw a lot, and also it has the Bermuda rig, the triangular rig, which is now what 98% of all sailing vessels have. I keep saying if we had had a patent on it then, we'd have no debts right now. To go up to Canada and back again and down to Turks and Caicos to do salt trading, and it really drove us. So, my time's up.
No,
Oh,
I
okay.
got a few more.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Jamali Bridgewater, come on up, Jamali.
Oh my God.
When he's not playing rugby, he still engages with Spirit of Bermuda. And I'm going to let him talk. You don't need the mic.
Speak on this week again.
Talk
How's
a little-
everybody doing? Is this fine?
Yeah.
All right. So as Ms. Simmons had stated, I first went on the boat actually, well, I did a summer voyage with them 2 years ago, but the first time I went on the boat was when I was in middle school in Delaware, that was like 6 years ago. And that was the first time I went on the boat, and I was like, it was an okay voyage. I didn't really stay in contact with them that much after. But one of my friends who went to the school here as well, he stayed in contact with the boat, and they ended up having a summer voyage, and it was to go to Canada, and he had asked me, somebody dropped out, would you like to come on the trip with us? And I said, sure, free trip to Canada, why not? And it was probably one of the best experiences in my life. It took us 5 days to get there, and on the way there, we saw like dolphins, whales, harbor seal when we got into Canada, but it was just a whole nother type of experience, like going to sleep, having no idea where you were, waking up, still having no idea where you were, and just praying that on the day that you were supposed to arrive, that you got there. And you know, we ended up getting to Canada. We were supposed to get there 6 days, 7 days, but we got there 5 days, so 2 days early. And it was a whole another experience. Even though where we went to PEI, it had a lot of similarities to Bermuda. There were still things that we were able to learn about the actual place itself. It was just an eye-opening experience, and after that I came back and I was old enough to work on the boat, so I started doing the trips with the actual boat, working with the school children. And there are things like character development, which you were talking about when the kid was sick over the rail. So like character development, teamwork, you know, it's something else when you have to be on a boat and in a confined space with somebody for a prolonged period of time. Whereas school, you know, you come, you see your friends or somebody you don't like, and then you go home. That's all you have to deal with. Whereas when you're on the boat, you're there for 5 days to like 2 weeks. You have to work out your problems with that person to become friends, because the boat can't function if one person's not doing their job. It takes everybody to do their job. So, you know, it puts you in a whole nother type of environment that you're not really used to, and you have to adapt to it, as she had said before. So, you know, it's really good for kids who are like shy and who need to come out of their shells and things like that. So, you know, send your kids on Spirit.
And also, I think for those that are kind of trying to figure out a little bit about who they are maybe, and not sure, they're floundering a little, for those who, although we don't, our goal is not specifically to create sailors, any children that perhaps are not classroom oriented specifically and are looking for a maritime career perhaps, we really help facilitate that. So there's opportunities, as Jamal was saying, to come on the boat and be part of charter crew and work with us, and we help facilitate getting them in the right place, getting certificates, shadowing employees that are on the boat. The other person he alluded to, Lamar Samuels, is now watch leader on board. And we have another one that was a Delwood student that actually was, he didn't go on Spirit when he was at Delwood, but he's another Berkeley graduate. I don't know what it is. And he's also a watch leader, and he wants to sail mega yachts eventually. I mean, that's his goal. So it's a, and none of the, well, maybe except for Lamar, Tristan De Silva, who was interviewed in the beginning, who works now for Team Artemis. He, again, you know, some school settings are okay for some. He actually left Berkeley. He just walked out. He couldn't, it wasn't for him. He had a hard time. This is, you know, 15 years ago. And he got his GED, but he's been very, very successful in this kind of environment, being out on the water. He's gotten certificates. He's a very kinesthetic, mechanical kind of learner. And so sitting in a classroom and trying to learn things just wasn't for him. So I'd like to open it up if we have a couple more minutes. Okay, for questions. I've handed out some of these things, almost to everybody.
Thank you.
The inside piece of paper that says 2016 Summer Voyages is really probably the most germane for this evening. The rest of the stuff is extra background and so on. There are, at the bottom, there's a link to register, and I would encourage every parent, every child that may be interested to register and not to be scared by some of the prices, because we have, the whole reason we do Pirates of Bermuda and raffles and so on is to fund these voyages. So we know, my son, who became a watch leader aboard Spirit eventually, he went to Haiti and he sold all raffle tickets to fund his whole voyage. So we know very well, I know, I couldn't afford these prices, okay? But there are some people in our community that can. And so please don't let that scare you, because we would not leave anybody ashore on land if they were keen and committed, and because of funds. So please don't let that deter anybody. Okay, now question, sorry. I know, sorry.
Yes, you haven't had many years on the boat. Did you have any kids that was like you're saying, that didn't want to pull already? How long did it take them to work it out?
There was actually, we did a trip maybe like 3 months ago, and there was a kid who, for the first, it was a 5-day trip. The first pretty much 3 days of the trip just didn't really want to do anything, just keen on causing havoc for everybody else who was on the boat. But on like the 4th day, he came around because he saw, well, you know, I'm not doing this, and everybody else, they're sort of feeling the punishments of what we're going through as a group. So, you know, if we can't get the sails up in time because I'm not trying to participate, then dinner's delayed, so now we're all up later, and then we still have to go to sleep at the same time. So, you know, he came around and he saw the error in his ways, I guess you could say. And he apologized on the last day, so, you know, it was really like an eye-opening experience for him, because he said, like, I act like this normally, like this is something, my typical sort of behavior, but, you know, when I saw how it was really affecting my peers and things like that, I had to change what I was going
And the other thing we do, I mean, that's the best way in my mind, when they come to that realization themselves. But there are times when certain behaviors are signals that's going on underneath, and so we try to often redirect them. So for example, we have a catering officer. We often will send someone like that to the catering officer to have a talk and see, you know, what's going on, and see what he or she may be interested in. It might be in the engine room to learn more about the engineering of the mechanics of the boat. So we have a lot of other options. Mind you, if somebody is extremely, what's the word I'm looking for, is potentially unsafe, right? I'm seriously unsafe. That would be a risk. And that's why we ask medical questions and so on. But sometimes this is exactly the kind of thing that some of these guys and ladies need to help turn them around a little bit.
Question.
Yes.
If y'all a person like myself that likes to just hang around the shoreline, building the boat within, let's say within close proximity to the land, let's say 150 feet from offshore, and you take me beyond Artist Bank and you get me beyond and the 30 comes. It's not like I just can get off and catch a bus and get back in. What happens in a case like that?
It was sort of my space where you were, because I did sailing when I was younger, like small boat sailing. I hated that because I was like, I don't know if I'm good at what I was coming from.
That's right.
I was terrified of things like that. But when I went on this voyage, it was just being in like a family sort of environment. It was, you know, you have your school family, your work family, your actual family. Like this is a whole nother, it's almost like, you know, a secondary family from an actual family. And it was just like reassuring being around them every day, you know, like some kids, they did get sick off the side when we were going to pee on, but like it was like, you know, we're all sick together. So it was a group sort of thing, you know, everybody overcame it because nobody's really keen on sailing 1,800 miles away from home.
Okay, last question. How did you make out? Now I knew that the young lot now are more tech savvy, internet and all that. So how did you make out third without Wi-Fi, without all that modern technology that you're like used to, without cutting out? So that means you're missing your friends, you're WhatsApping, Facebooking, Instagram, and
It took us 5 days to get there. It was like 3 of us, we all had like our phones and stuff, but they were just in our bags. And when we finally got to the dock, it was like, you know, we killed time on the way down there. We played cards, you know, we made each other angry, constantly playing cards. But when we got there, it was like, there's Wi-Fi in the dock. And then that was resolved, but it was a time passer like the whole time. You know, you were there, you could never be bored to say, oh, let me speak to my friends. You know, you were either up on deck helping out or downstairs helping out with cooking. So, you know, there was never really time for you to be like, let me hop on Facebook. Plus, there's no satellites or anything to give you Wi-Fi. So after the first day, that thought just leaves your mind.
We see with the M2 students, for some of them there's, I think, a little bit of withdrawal for the first day or two. Probably also withdrawal from if they are heavy soda drinkers or sugary stuff, because we don't have any of that on board. So we're trying to instill in them the fact that in order to really be the best you can, you have to be respectful of your body as well and what you put in it. And living off of sugar drinks all the time is not going to do any good. So we see, honestly, some withdrawal the first day. The behaviors are really weird. And then by Wednesday, you see sort of a plateauing, and they start to, it's what I call that turnaround day. For the older ones, I don't know, do you find it's more as dramatic as with the younger ones?
Yes, but not really noticeable.
No.
You know, it's like
because they can regulate that.
It's like I want some soda right now, but we're in the middle of the ocean, so I know I'm not going to get any. Yeah, like but yeah, that's the other thing. You know, not being able to bring soda or snacks, and it's also like it helps you at home sort of thing, because when you're on the boat, it's like reinforced, you know, is there stuff on the top of the deck? if it is and it's left out, it's being taken, and on the last day you can get it back. So don't leave your stuff all around the deck. That helps you clean up more. You're not allowed to just snack 24/7, which is one of my favorite things to do. And you know, it's like snack times, lunch times, breakfast, dinner, those sort of things. You know, it's set rules, and you have to abide by those rules, or else the boat doesn't really function. So you know, it helps you just character building. Yeah. So it's a really good experience. You have my vote behind it, so yeah.
So what more could you ask for?
Jamani, you may have said already, but what's the one thing that you will always take away from your experience with Spirit? Something that you
Like
think-
team, it's the ability to be able to, I'm not even sure if I said this before, but like the ability to be able to be put into like new environments and have to adapt to them quickly. On our way to Canada, we lost our foresail. I went upstairs, and I'm pretty sure it's because I wasn't up there, you know, making sure everything was running smoothly. But I was upstairs and I heard this huge tear, and I was like, what's going on? And I go up there and our sail's just chilling in the water while we're trying to make our way down there. And we all sort of had to like react quickly, pull the sail up, roll it up, and then be able to put the outer jib and inner jib up. Just use those as our new foresail. And we still made it to Canada Friday. Like, it just helps you adapt to new situations, because, you know, not everybody's been on a boat going somewhere else, and, you know, we had squalls and things like that we had to worry about, so it's just a really good experience, character and team building.
Yes, sir. Good for you.
And it's fun, right?
Oh, definitely.
It is fun.
Definitely.
We do have fun.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm going to leave some of these at the back if I can.
Yes, definitely.
And so if anybody, and there's contact information on them, feel free to contact me or anyone at Spirit if you want more information, or you want to come by the office. We're right next to Argus, in the old Argus building. And I hope to see some of your young ones signed up to experience Spirit of Bermuda next summer. We're also going to be sailing with Schooner America, which is the America's Cup replica, once we get to the East Coast, which is probably a once in a blue moon opportunity. So thank you so much for your attention. I appreciate it. And
Yes, if we could have a round of applause for I will make sure that whatever information can be digital will be on our Facebook page. So we also have another speaker this evening from the Department of National Drug Control to discuss the harms associated with drug use. She does not want to be on camera, so that's perfectly fine. We will make sure you aren't. So we'll move the microphone over here. Sorry about the technical stuff. We're just trying to work it all out. Thank you. And we'll ask you to speak into the microphone because we can at least give your voice. Okay?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Siobhan Wilson. I am the Drug Prevention Officer for the Department of National Drug Control. I have been there for, over 25 years. And I always say everybody's got to have a cause, and mine just happens to be to keep children off of drugs and alcohol. So that's my focus. It has been that for the last 25 years, and that's my commitment. But I was asked really kind of at short notice to to come to speak to you all today. So I thought I would start by just letting you know that about the Department for National Drug Control, we are divided up into 3 areas. It's the, okay, we are divided up into 3 sections. There is a research section who's responsible for doing the school surveys, surveys with the medical community, surveys with the prisons, all about drugs and alcohol. We also have a treatment section. We are the persons who oversee treatment in Bermuda. We have a men's treatment facility as well as a female treatment facility. And my area is the drug prevention area. We are responsible for educating the public. And so our objective today really is to provide participants with some information on preventing substance abuse against school-age children. And so drug prevention really is a relatively new discipline. And so I always find very important for people to understand the role of prevention, because at the end of the day, we know what happens when someone is in treatment and how to treat a disease. But the role of prevention is to create a healthy community where people enjoy a quality of life, whether it's at work, whether it's in school. We look for support from the communities. We look for connections with families and friends, and we really want our community to be drug and crime free. So prevention is being proactive. Starting drug use before it even starts. It empowers individuals and systems to meet the challenges of life events and transitions by creating and reinforcing conditions that promote healthy lifestyles for everyone, not just your children, for parents, and in whatever environment that you are in. The goal of substance abuse prevention is really fostering a climate in which alcohol use is acceptable only when a person is of legal age. It'll be very difficult to tell children that they can't have alcohol, but it's all about doing things at an appropriate time. We have to be concerned also about prescription drugs, not just alcohol. Over-the-counter drugs are used only for medical purposes. And as a result of our last surveys, we recognize our children are using other things, aerosols. They are spraying it onto their ties and sniffing it, and glue sniffing, and all of this is something that we have found out as a result of talking to young people and from the surveys. Illegal drugs and tobacco are not to be used at all, because it can end you can end up, incarcerated. So we look at, in prevention, we look at what puts children at risk and what protects children. So prevention, according to the risk factors, prevention factors theory, is based on a simple premise. To prevent a problem, we need to identify those factors that increase the risk that a problem will develop, and then find a way to reduce it. We must identify those protective factors that buffer individuals from the risk factors in their environment, and to find ways to increase their protection. Risk factors, it could be genetic. It could be the fact that their home environment is chaotic. They could have a poor attitude toward learning. And all of these affect whether or not a child will make a unsafe decision to use drugs and alcohol. Some kids, the brain plays a very important function in it as well, as the brain is developing. So therefore, if it's been, what can I say, if the child is that child that is sort of weak, and at the end of the day, the brain may be telling them, okay, well, it's fine, we can use drugs. So the risk and protective theory is based on a strategy called social development. So for all young people, we always want to start off with healthy behaviors, give them clear standards for bonding, and we do this by providing opportunities, whether your child is a dancer, whether your child is heavily engaged in a sport, or whether your child is highly academic. You must provide an opportunity for what it is that they like and then recognize it. That's what the social development strategy is. So, in identifying risk factors, we look at risk factors that occur in one's community. So we know that if drugs are available in the community, that's a possibility that your child would be involved in drugs. Availability of firearms, which I never thought would happen, but it has happened. The community laws and norms that are favorable to drug use and crime. I always think of the example where, for example, when we were looking at, if you're looking at opening up a liquor store in your child's community, then as parents and members of that community, we all need to be ready.
One of the things that will deter students from doing drugs is that parents are involved. We know that. So make yourself available to attend the school. Also, our tag day happened. Yay, it's over. Yay, it's over. Happened on April the 1st. I do not have the total take. Our tag day chair, Rosina Hartman, has not gotten back to me yet. But the moment that I know how much we took, I will get that information out to all the parents. But I know she's not in the room, but if we could thank Ms. Hartman for her tireless work towards the tag day this year, just by a round of applause, I would appreciate it. So our scholarship committee, now that we've raised the funds, will start the process for the scholarships for the graduating S4 students. If anyone's interested in supporting that process, you can just email Berkeley Institute PTSA@gmail, say you're interested in supporting the scholarship process, and the executive committee will be in contact and we can get that ball rolling. Of course, the office is asking to make sure that you sign in, print your email address so they can double check and make sure that they have the correct email address for you. Obviously, they do because you're here this evening and the message only went out this morning. So thank you for your patience in regards to the late notice. Also, our principal is out sick. She did send me an email stating that her report, the information that she would have shared, will be in the newsletter that should have come out today, definitely by the latest tomorrow. So make sure that you read the newsletter. And we wish her a speedy recovery to get back in and support our students. So again, I know that it ran long. It started a few minutes late. So I really do appreciate you being here. Is there any concerns, questions, or comments that you want to bring to the executive for us to take care of? No? Go ahead.
Some of the young people are receiving tag day.
For high school students? Sorry?
And middle.
Okay, well, the high school students would not have supervision. They're high school students. The middle school students should have had a Berkeley student with them. If they did not, then that's something that we'll bring to the tag day chair and see where the breakdown was.
Middle school students are on the fence.
Okay,
And they left the bucket unattended. And I believe someone said they think they went to the rescue, so they're not in the elevator. The person stayed there and watched the bucket.
okay. I'll just ask that if you could email the Berkeley Institute PTA with that concern and the specifics, you know, if you know which bank, etc. I will definitely bring it to the tag day chair's attention that that should not have happened. And so we will definitely sort that out and do whatever is required to make sure it doesn't happen again. Yes, definitely. Anything else? No? Okay. So just the standard closing out. The video will be on the YouTube page. The link will go out in the next 48 hours. It is a private link. We'd like to keep it private for 2 weeks, so just disseminate it to other Berkeley parents that you're friends with so that we can get a correct count of how many parents and students